Meanwhile, the World Athletics governing body, the IAAF, says it is disappointed by the lack of progress being made by Russia in cleaning up its anti-doping regime. IAAF Chief Sebastian Coe says obstacles continue to be placed in the path of the task force appointed to oversee the transformation of Russia's anti-doping operation.
Again, disappointment is a good word because there is no reason why better progress has not been made. You know, if you look at the three, just take three of the key milestones. Testing, yes, there is testing taking place, but it is still far too limited. The Russian investigative committee still is refusing to hand over athlete biological passport samples for independent testing at labs. We've still got athletes in closed cities that are difficult, if not impossible, to get to. And as I've said, we've got coaches still plying their trade, and we've got the head coach of RUSAF effectively sort of refusing to sign their own pledge to clean athletics. So, there is some way to go, and yes, we will see this through.
Well, let's keep the conversation going here. We're now joined live in studio here in Nairobi by Sarah Ochwada, who is an international sports lawyer and expert in anti-doping litigation. Sarah, talking about EPO, this is the drug that, among others, Jemima Sumgong was caught for. Why exactly is it considered a specified substance?
Actually, it's a non-specified
Non-specified, right?
Yeah. So a specified substance is one which has a credible non-doping explanation, whereas a non-specified, it's very difficult to have a credible non-doping explanation. I'll give you an example. Celestamine, over-the-counter drug. Maybe you, myself, and our grandmothers have been prescribed it.
Right, an antihistamine.
Yes, exactly. You can use an antihistamine for medical reasons. Now, EPO, it's very difficult to have a non-medical, or rather, it's very difficult to have a non-doping explanation for why you have EPO in your system.
Right.
Because it's only given to certain patients. For example, those who are suffering from acute anemia. So doctors would not prescribe it off the cuff. It has to be in very specific circumstances, which is why EPO is considered to be a non-specified substance.
And talking about a term we've been hearing more and more, what exactly is therapeutic use exemption, and how exactly does it differ from outright doping?
Yeah. So a therapeutic use exemption is simply permission to use substances which would ordinarily be prohibited by WADA. Okay, so for example, if you are suffering from asthma and you have medication which contains substances which is on the prohibited list, what you can do is apply for the therapeutic use exemption, which will allow you to use that medication and still compete, and whether or not you test positive for that particular substance will be okay. It will not be considered doping. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And finally, from somebody maybe who knows the law, has studied it, in your opinion, do you think that Kenya has done enough and is doing enough to stamp out doping, not only in athletics but in sports as well?
Not at all, sadly. Mainly because we just had our doping legislation in 2016. That's when it was enacted. ADAC followed thereafter. I don't think they've done enough with awareness. For example, people still think EPO is Mursik, which is crazy. And even just educating our own medical personnel, those who take care of athletes, those who support them and train them, so that they're not just waiting for one point of information. Right. You receive the information from different sources. Yeah.
Indeed. Thank you very much for that, Sarah Ochwada, who is an international sports lawyer, joining us live here on Matchpoint.